I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and it's time to get wealthy. You're going to learn exactly what you need to do to finally achieve the level of financial success that you deserve. Well, it's been called the silver tsunami. In the next decade, the number of people over the age of 65 will be more than 20%. And what that means is that many of them are going to need care, assisted living, and it's really been called a crisis. However, today we're going to have a conversation with two women who looked at this not as a crisis, but an opportunity, and they're showing people how to build businesses in this growing industry. And so here's what they don't really want you to know about what it really takes to build a successful business. Number one is that problems are opportunities. And so you need to be in the business of solving problems. Number two is if you can leverage your existing skill set in some way, it really can help you to be successful in your own business. And then finally, there's nothing like having a turnkey, a proven business model and strategies to be successful. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. So today, our guests are both former registered nurses and leaders in the healthcare field. And it's through their own experience of caregiving that led them to build several successful senior care businesses. And now they're showing others how they can do it too. And so I'm really, really excited to have Ashonda Blue and Jessica Wright, sisters, here on Get Wealthy to share exactly what they're doing. Welcome to Get Wealthy.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Well, I'm excited to have this conversation because on Get Wealthy, we have a framework and it's called Mindset, Strategy, and Execution. And so I really want to begin there just in terms of a mindset. I talked a little bit about your own personal experience with caregiving, but I really would love for Ashonda, we'll start with you to just share with the audience why caregiving is such an important aspect of the work that you do.
Oh, wow. So I've been a caregiver pretty much all of my career as a registered nurse. I started out working in the nursing home. And funny, I never thought I would work in a nursing home when I was younger, right? But when I started working in the nursing home, I found out that seniors, I thought seniors went to a nursing home to die, but I found out they really went there to live. And a lot of them didn't have family members for whatever reason visiting. And I found out I was their family. And so that really sparked for me how important it is to be a caregiver, because it's a need for seniors.
And Jessica, I can't imagine that you both traveled the same path, and then, you're talking, certainly Ashonda said she started at an early age, and yet how did you guys kind of come together and really decide to make this a business and focus on this industry?
Well, it hit home when our grandmother needed care and assistance, and she told us both, I do not want to go to a nursing home. And like Ashonda said, we both worked in long-term care nursing homes, and we saw a lot of people just like our grandmother who really could be taken care of at home. Mm-hmm. And so me working in the nursing home at that time, all I knew was when you were no longer able to stay at home, you went to the nursing home. Mm-hmm. But when we were educated on the community-based services that focus on keeping individuals in their home with support and care and assistance, we knew that was what we wanted to do for our grandmother and for other seniors.
Well, it's interesting that you say that. I just went through, I lost both of my parents in the last couple of years, and their journey was a little different. In fact, that my father had dementia, so he did have to be cared for in a nursing home, whereas with my mother, my older sister actually came to care for her. And it was through that, experience that I really saw close up the need and how difficult it is if you don't have, significant financial resources to have your loved ones cared for. And so, to that end, as I think about you and your sister going into this business, it can't just be about money. In terms of the mindset, what would you say to someone about the mindset that you have to not only be successful in this business, but also to do it in a way that honors our elders?
Oh yeah, it's definitely not about the money. Even when we hire caregivers, not just the being an entrepreneur, senior care business owner, but we all have to have that mindset. This is our passion, our mission, our purpose, our ministry, and so it's definitely more than just a career, a business. It's our purpose. And we're here to service seniors, to make sure we're here to improve their lives. And even when we we do interviews, we want to know the caregivers, what is your passion? What do you love to do? And if they tell us something different than I love seniors, I love helping, caring, and serving others, then this is not the right field for you. Because, our profession, shameless, is not a high paid profession for the people who provide the care. So it has to be more than about the money. It has to be something within you that will keep you and drive you and see the bigger purpose in what you're doing.
Well, yeah. That was really what intrigued me about the work that you're doing in helping other people actually start this business. And some interesting statistics are that 32% of workers in healthcare in this industry are African American. And then when you look at that and you do look at pay and what would be, a way for them to actually shift from earner to owner, I'm really intrigued by why. Is it the demand for the need that you feel is important? Because you've both been very successful financially as well in building these businesses.
Yeah, I guess what I would say to that is there is a need. There are over 1 million people turning age 65 every day. In the next 10 years, they're expecting the senior population to double. It'll be the fastest and the largest population. I think they're expecting a need of over 72 million seniors that will need some type of senior care or housing. So the demand is there. Of course, you always want to get above the curve or in front of the curve before it hits. And so that is why we pivoted and started teaching and trying to help people to definitely consider starting a senior care business, because the need is there.
And then I guess, the only other question I have in terms of mindset in researching different care types of care for my own parents, one of the things that I found was that, you could have assisted living, you could have personal home care. But in all of that, what are some of the barriers to entry as it relates to licensing and, the regulatory environment?
Well, this is a very regulated industry, and I'm glad it is, because there needs to be oversight here. So you do have to be whether you are an in-home care provider, that's where people receive services in their home, whether you have a personal care home, that's a 2 to up to 24 residents that live in a home or in a residential setting, or assisted living, which is the larger facilities. All of these have to be licensed by the state. And there are rules and regulations. There's a governing agency, governing body. So there are things there that you do have to do.
And then my other question just around mindset is, if you're already in the industry and you see that there is a need, there are different, as I said, in researching my own parents' care, there are different facilities that can give different kinds of care. And if based on your own experience, because I know that you provide a number of different services, right? Your company, Innovative Senior Solutions, where is the need? Is it in helping people stay at home? Is it in, actual facilities? If someone is listening to our conversation, where would you, what insight can you give them around where the true need is?
Yeah, Deborah, and I want to share this too, Deborah. When we did in-home care, we got calls every day for services, and never once was it a senior. It was always their children. And when we got a call, it was never any type of plan of care in place, right? It was always some type of emergency. So I would definitely want to make sure people know about planning for these types of care with their families. But the need is definitely, we've been looking at the research. We've been to different conferences. We've been looking at AARP, looking at what the seniors are going to want, what the baby boomers are going to want. And you definitely have multiple options. In-home care is number one. They said that 98% of seniors say they are going to want to stay in home. So that's number one. Number two, we're seeing a lot of active adult communities come about now. So we actually learned there's several phases to senior care. You have the in-home care, you have active adults, you have independent living, right? You have assisted living, and then you have memory care, dementia care units, which are like locked units, and then you have nursing homes. So you can just take your pick. I don't think you can go wrong with any one, but like I said, the demand, what we're hearing is definitely in-home.
Great, because when we come back, and it's interesting that you mentioned something that I definitely want to touch on, and it is preparation. For so many families, the cost of care is so expensive depending upon what they need. So when we come back, I do want to touch a little bit on what if someone in this audience is listening, like me, I had to find care for my parents. What should they be doing? How should they be educating themselves around this topic? Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back, because next we're going to talk about strategy, not only around if this is something that you see as an opportunity, but also if you also looking for care, or you see this as something that will be coming up in the future for you. So don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back.
Let's be honest, as successful women, we're crushing it. Maxed out 401k and Roth IRA? Check. Aggressive savings and investments? Check. Yet, the freedom our success was supposed to buy can leave us stuck on the six-figure hamster wheel, watching retirement slip further down the road. There's another way. Get coaching courses and community at wealthyu.com.
Over the window seats. These are the only bins that will accommodate larger rollerboards.
They put 10 in here?
10, and you don't come out till you die. And you eat him, you eat 10.
Oh my God.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, I had to change studios because of some technical difficulties, but we're going to continue this conversation with our guest. We're talking about the silver tsunami and how so much demand will happen in the senior care industry because, I mean, that last statistic really blew me away that they shared, and that's 1 million people are turning 65 every day. So welcome back, everyone, and let's welcome our guests, Ashonda Blue and Jessica Wright, back to continue this conversation. So now, we talked about mindset for the viewers just around senior care, the opportunity that's there, and looking for care for their family. And I really want to, you said something really interesting, and it is about people not being prepared. That typically is someone urgently calling that all of a sudden I need care, when in fact we need to get in front of that. So I would love it if you could both share what a family member, loved ones need to be thinking about to make sure that we're prepared to get assistance with caring for our elders.
Well, I'd love to talk about that. I would say first is having the conversation, right? Our parents are baby boomers. They're in their 70s. We've had the conversation with them. What do you want to do when you get to a certain age or when you're going to need assistance? And one of the first things that we did was we purchased long-term care insurance for our families, because what we found out that is for our parents, because that is one of the only types of insurance that pays for this type of care. And so when we did that, we were giving them an option. They'll have the option to stay at home. They'll have an option to, if they want to downsize and go into assisted living or active adults, they will have an option, and they'll have financially, they'll have the option to do it. So I would say, first of all, having the conversation, getting the understanding of what they would like, and then talking about the finances, about who would pay for this, because that was the number one question when we got called for care. It was like, well, who pays for this? Does Medicaid or Medicare? And Medicaid does pay for this for low income seniors. That means you can't make anything over your SSI check. Well, we were getting so many calls from many seniors who had more than SSI. They had retirement. And so that means they didn't qualify for the Medicaid programs. And at the time, Medicare didn't pay for this type of care. So we were like turning people away, and we were wondering, what are they going to do? And so that's a very important conversation that needs to be had.
Yeah, I suggest that when, just like you talk about your burial, your things, your estate planning, that is also the time that you need to be talking about what do you want to happen when you're not able to take care of yourself at home.
Well, you mentioned long-term care insurance, and from my side, or the financial side, I do know that sometimes it can be cost prohibitive. The time to really buy long-term care insurance is in your 40s or 50s, right? That's when it's most affordable. And so if you were to look at this, let's say I'm someone watching this show and my parents are, they're in their 70s already, right? And maybe I didn't have this conversation. As a family, what would you recommend? Because you're on the other side. I'm coming to you for care, right? Give us some tips on some of the strategies that families have been able to, kind of employ in order to make sure that their parents or loved ones are taken care of.
I'll give them, like, the first tip. The first thing that I would say that I see happening is estate planning. So if your family member, your mom and dad has property, has a home, one of the first things that they can do is get that property out of their name and go ahead and move it over to their children or a loved one, right? That's one of the first things they can do, get the property out of their name. And it has to be out of their name for at least 5 years. there's something called estate recovery. And so what I'm talking about is getting you able to qualify for hopefully a Medicaid program that pays for this type of service. But the first thing is you got to get any property. If they have lots of cash, in the bank, things of this nature, it has to be moved. And we see families doing this all the time, but it's preparing for it and planning for it. And that is one tip and one strategy that can be done.
Yeah, and so to your point is, and that's the other, we'll be doing a show just so our folks know on estate planning and how so many of the assets are lost because people haven't done the proper estate planning, or they've done things like add people on deeds thinking that they're doing the right thing. And so your point is that everybody needs to get their ducks in a row in a family and really think about what the assets are in the family, how to protect them, and then how to actually prepare right for this kind of situation. And so to that end, if I were considering going into this industry, I do certainly, to your point, have a heart for it, because I really feel like you need a heart to be in this business. But a heart doesn't always pay the bills, and you're saying to me that some people are coming unprepared, even though this is a huge opportunity on the business side of this equation, right? How do I need to be thinking about addressing some of the challenges that people are going to have for care if I were decide to go into this business, into this industry?
Two things. First, I want to say too is that a lot of people pay privately for this type of care, and it's very costly. So that is a great opportunity in itself. And for us as business owners, we've already started planning on incorporating a service on if they live in any of our facilities or receive any type of care from us. We're going to put in place something called coordination of care. Right. So hopefully we're going to start meeting people in their homes, maybe active adults, and maybe in making them, making a part of their package for us is to have coordination of care, so we can make sure those conversations are had and the planning is done.
So when you say coordination of care, like I do feel like, and that was the point I was making about strategy, about really looking at this from a business standpoint and where the demand is, but also, I'm a business person, right? I'm a numbers person. This is get wealthy, right? So I'm also talking about how can this be a viable business for me, and I don't find myself in a situation where I'm getting people who can't necessarily pay or are in that kind of what do I want to say, where Medicaid won't pay for it. I have some, they may have some savings, but not a lot. From a business standpoint, what would you say just in terms of talking to families about what kind of care their loved one can receive?
Well, you're hitting a couple of points there, Deborah. I would have to say, from a business perspective, you have to make a plan on which target audience you're going to go after. And trust me, it's plenty of them. So we have facilities that we target the Medicaid population, low income seniors, and we have facilities for them, and they are full. Today, they're full. And then we have strategies where we have private pay facilities. And again, you have to put these different facilities in those types of areas. You have to plan for it. But of course, just like any other business, if you don't pay, you don't stay. Right?
Well, yeah, but so here was my thought, and why I think that the work that you guys are doing is so important. And I do want to say that was the other question I had for you, really, was if I were to go into this business, what prior skill sets should I have? If I am a nurse, and by the way, I looked at a stat that said that African American are the largest minority who are in the nursing field. So should I, just in terms of regulatory and understanding how to care for people, does a nursing, being a nursing professional give me an edge and allow me to have a skill set that would be, aligned with going into this kind of business?
So yeah, we like to dispel myths because that is one of the top questions. Do you have to be a healthcare professional, have healthcare background? No, you do not have to have healthcare background. Of course, it is definitely a plus, but you can always hire for that. So being a healthcare professional, no, you do not. When you get in, we teach you all the rules, the regulations, all the requirements. So having that background is definitely not necessary. We have a lot of individuals that like to invest. I know you were talking about having the care part. A lot of people don't have the care part, but it's a great business opportunity, right? And so we do have aspects where you can invest and still be a part of the senior care industry and benefit from it, from real estate, from how we have homes, and you can do your home, get your home up to rules, to the regulations, and then have an operator come in and operate their business in their home. So you don't actually have to have that care, that compassion, but see that it is still a need in your community and still want to bring that service to your community and be a passive investor or in this industry.
Yeah, no, I do want to, and that was the other aspect I want to get to that I briefly mentioned in the introduction, and that is the work that you do through Innovative Senior Solutions. So both you and your sisters, you're co-owners of this company, and you have several different types of facilities, as you mentioned, and you've also had success in actually exiting the business, right? And selling one of your facilities to someone else. And now you're teaching others. And so what was what preceded that? What caused you to now want to show others how to have the same type of success in this industry?
Well, I'll touch on that and then you can add. So in 2019, we sold our in-home care business and we sold it for over 7 figures. And when we sold that business, we started investing in real estate in senior care. And one of the things we saw as we were opening up, so what we were doing was starting facilities because we saw so many people could not get the financial assistance they needed to start the facility. So we would buy the property, renovate it, and lease it to someone to operate their business. And when we start doing that, we saw there's a need for teaching and coaching. And so then we started providing coaching and teaching people how to start them and operate them. And I think today we have like 24 facilities, properties. And so I almost think that we are probably more just as much into real estate as we are into senior care. They're kind of hand in hand for us now.
That's interesting, though, that you say that, because I don't often think that people understand. And that's the whole reason that I wanted to have this conversation with the both of you, because you're not really looking at, like I know me, as a individual, the only interaction that I've really had of a long-term care facility, a nursing home, was with my own parents, right? And so or maybe I visited a relative, but up until then, I didn't, until I started investigating, okay, well, what do we do? Can they go to a long-term care facility? Should we have this assistance at home? Are there, depending upon where they are, in terms of their health. But what I would say is that my parents, they plotted, man. They did not want to leave their home, right? And it wasn't until, my father got to the point where it wasn't safe for my mother, right? That we had to look at a different facility, a different type of care for him. But I mean, I had no idea of the different types of care and till I started looking at, where there's care for dementia, where you just said memory centers and that sort of thing. So when we come back, what I'd love to talk to you about is, okay, our audience is listening, they're intrigued, they see the opportunity that this is a growth opportunity. What are the steps that I need to take to prepare myself to actually establish a business in this industry? So folks, don't go anywhere. I mean, we're having a great conversation, a needed conversation about elder care, but more from the standpoint of you getting your financial house in order, of course, and also looking at the other side of the business opportunity. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
We're all impacted by the culture, whether we know it or not. From politics to music and entertainment, it's a huge part of our lives, and we're going to talk about it every day right here on The Culture with me, Faraji Muhammad, only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and we're talking about wealth through owning a business. And particularly our topic today is about senior care and elder care. The fact that the number of people turning 65 every day is more than 1 million. And my guests today are Ishanda Blue and Jessica Wright, and they are owners of Innovative Senior Care. They'll tell me if I said that incorrectly, but they have been they've had businesses, they've sold businesses, and now they're teaching others how to do this and take advantage of a clear need that is in not only our communities, but is needed for our loved ones and our family members. So now, ladies, it's all about, we talked about mindset, we talked about strategy. Now we're going to talk about execution. I'm listening to this and I'm saying, wow, I never even considered that this is something that I could do. Where do I start? If I want to do research on this opportunity, where do I start as someone who might consider it as a business?
Okay. I would say first is researching the different types. Like you said, a lot of people don't even know there are so many different types of senior care businesses. A lot of people, even seniors, and that's a myth that we want to dispel, that the nursing home is the only option. There are so many different types of community services that you can provide. So first, doing research and maybe determining which one do I like. Do I like in-home care? Do I like, which is like home care? It is home care. Do I want to have a facility like assisted living? Adult day, we have adult day centers. So it's just like child care, is adult care. And they come in the morning and go home in the afternoon. So I would say first research and determine what type of senior care business that you would want to start. And then two, maybe start looking at rules and regulations. But it's just like any other business. You just have to have good, sound business practices, the business plan, the funding, and all those other things that you need to get started.
So give us a sense, though, like just in terms of the lowest barrier to entry, I would think would be what?
The lowest barrier is going to be in-home care. That's how we started. We actually started our business in a business incubator at our local technical college. We were working our own jobs and we came in after work and we worked our business in this business incubator. It was inside of, we had like a cubicle.
It was a cubicle.
It was a cubicle, yeah. One computer, one desk, one file cabinet. And we stayed there for 3 years, rent free. So we really, and we worked our first client. So we did a lot of things that we could do to cut that overhead and give our business a good sound start. So if you had to start anywhere, I would say in-home care would be the easiest because you can find different places to start your business and not have all that overhead.
And then typically, if that's where I start, like you were already registered nurses, as a profession, what kind of skills, if I were to hire somebody, would they have to would you have to hire to actually care for elders in their home?
Yeah. You hit that?
So for in-home, it's non-skill, right? So non-skill care is custodial care. So a caregiver that will come in and help with activity of daily living. You're bathing, you're dressing, preparing meals, doing light housekeeping. So a caregiver, or you can just train. You can also have a personal care assistant. These people are not certified, but they can be trained to do those tasks.
My other question is too, where I was fascinated about the fact that and this is what's really fascinating is, you start this in an incubator, you go into the first, where you're doing in-home care. How did you grow? Tell our audience, how did you grow from there to actually selling one of your facilities or your business?
So let me start with saying what our mission is, because we left that off. For our mission is to improve the lives of seniors by preventing them from going to a nursing home and keeping them safe in the community or their home as long as possible. That's been our mission from day one into this day. Even though we've changed the way we do things, we still have that mission. And so along our journey, we've always been researching. We've always joined associations. We've gone to conferences to learn about all the different ways that we could serve seniors in their home or in community. And that's when we started learning about adult day and active adult communities and personal care homes, just different community settings. And we started adding those pieces to our flywheel. And so that is how we have grown our company through the years, is through knowledge and education.
Well, it's really interesting because you said your mission certainly is aligned with someone who's on the other side, like my parents were, and they wanted to stay in their home, right? Mm-hmm. Like they didn't want to leave, and that's where they are most comfortable. And I think we all have, even when my father went to that nursing home, I mean, it was heartbreaking to see how many people had no one visiting them, had no family. And so, all I got to say is I certainly love the mission, but we know that's not always possible. And so now I just want to shift for a minute. We talked about mindset, we talked about strategy, and now we're talking about execution. So if someone is listening to this program and they say, wow, this is something that I want to pursue. We talked about we need to research, but I would love it if you could just give a sense of maybe somebody who's been through, and by the way, I want our audience to know that they actually coach people on how to start these businesses, do it the right way. And they also have a turnkey kind of model for people to follow. So give us an example of someone who just came in, decided this is what they wanted to do and are now up and running.
Yeah, so through our turnkey solution service, we have different individuals come to us, and these owners in particular, they had no healthcare experience. They came to Ishonda and I and said, I want to create generational wealth for my family. I no longer want to work a job. I want to have the flexibility, and I want to create the wealth behind it. And so these individuals, they're a husband and wife team. They are they're in the ministry. She's a cosmetologist. He does different types of businesses, but he said he wanted to invest in the senior care business, senior care industry. And he said that I have no clue on what to do. And so he's like, I'm going to come to the experts. I don't want to reinvent the wheel, right? And so they came to us. They utilized our turnkey solution. We went out, we found them a home, we renovated that home. We did everything to get it up per policies and procedures and the rules and regulations in that state. And now they're senior care business owners. Their facility is full. They have been in business a little under a year. So they started in the pandemic. I know a lot of people ask, what about the pandemic? How has that had an effect on the industry and people still wanting services? No negative effect. And so they are one of our success stories, just wanting to do something different, make a positive impact in their community, but also to create generational wealth, and not wanting to reinvent the wheel. And so we help them start their very own senior care business.
And so, you know, that's interesting. So even to the point of helping them understand how they're going to have to, you know, renovate, improve that home, if you will, so that it is aligned with whatever the rules and regulations are for the industry?
Yes, we do both. So we have two models.
Okay.
So we have a model where we do it for you, and then we have a model where we'll work with them.
Okay, I got you. And so, you know, finally, you know, this is Get Wealthy, so I gotta, you know, show me the money. Like, so I want our audience to know, like, what type of an investment typically should I be looking at if I were going to, you know, do something similar as you just described of your success story?
So in our done for you option, you're looking at about a $37,000 investment. And if you decide to do it on your own, meaning you're buying property and renovating the property, then you can be looking at an $80,000 investment to start. So that's just to show you the difference in the two. But that's the kind of initial investment that you're looking at. And I'm pretty sure the next question may be what kind of revenue they're going to be looking at.
Of course. And what is my return on investment?
So monthly.
Exactly.
Yeah. So monthly, depending on your population, if you're going after the Medicaid population, your monthly revenue for a 6-bed, that means if you have a residential house, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, which is very easy to renovate into a senior care, personal care home, you're looking at revenue of a little over $10,000 a month. And if you decide to do private pay, it will be double. It'll be $20,000 a month.
Wow. Wow. So the point is that, you know, what I wanted our viewers to get a exposure to is just the fact that this is a in high demand, the fact that it is growth, and just the number of people who are turning 65 and are going to need all different kinds of care, and that those options are available to them. Well, ladies, I cannot thank you enough for coming on and giving us some insight. And please let our viewers know, how do they get in contact with you? Like, give us a website or something if they want to learn more about getting into the senior care business.
So you can visit us at www.innovativeseniorcareconsultant.com. That's our website. Also on all social media platforms, it's Innovative Senior Care Consultant.
Excellent. Well, ladies, thanks so much for coming on Get Wealthy.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Well, when we come back, I am going to give you 3 takeaways that you should have gotten from this business if you're considering going into business. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Thanks for watching Get Wealthy. I'm Deborah Owens. So we covered a lot of ground today, and I really wanted to expose everyone to the fact that this silver tsunami, Yes, it's coming us on us two ways. One, caring for our elders, but also an opportunity to serve them as well. So here are the three takeaways from today that you should have gotten from Get Wealthy. First is, if you're going to start a business, go where the growth is. And certainly when you see the growth and demand that's going to be needed in senior care, that checks the box. Secondly, what skill sets can you bring to your business? Now, it might not necessarily be that you are in this industry itself, but what are the other, maybe you're a project manager. What other skill sets can you bring to the business to help it be successful? And then finally, one of the things that the study shows is that turnkey and franchise businesses have less failure because you already have a proven business model. So thanks so much for joining me on Get Wealthy. I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach.